Imagination, it is not merely a fleeting thought or a whimsical dream. It is the divine faculty within us that shapes the unseen into the seen, the intangible into the tangible. In the book Imagination, we are not simply encouraged to fantasize or daydream, but rather, we are invited to awaken to the sacred power that lies dormant within our minds. It teaches us that the life we desire does not arrive by chance, but is sculpted, word by word, image by image, in the quiet theater of our inner world. The author speaks not from theory but from timeless truth, that all progress, all invention, all beauty and all transformation begins first with imagination. In a world that often teaches us to be realistic, to conform, and to act only within the boundaries of what has already been done, this book stands as a gentle but powerful rebellion. It whispers to us that reality itself is not fixed, it is fluid. What we see around us today is merely the result of yesterday's collective imaginations. The buildings we walk past, the devices in our hands, the art that moves our souls, all of these were once invisible. They began in the mind of someone who dared to believe in what they could not yet touch. The author encourages us to return to that childlike place where nothing is impossible, where belief precedes sight, and where faith in the unseen becomes the foundation of all creation. One of the book's most profound messages is that imagination is not fiction, it is formation. It's not about escaping life, but about designing it. Through compelling examples and heartfelt wisdom, the author shows us that people who have changed the world, whether it be inventors like Thomas Edison, visionaries like Steve Jobs, or spiritual leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., all began with a vivid internal vision. Edison didn't invent the light bulb through logic alone, he saw it first in his mind. Steve Jobs didn't just build sleek devices, he imagined a future where technology and art would merge into one seamless experience. King didn't just lead marches, he carried a dream so rich in imagery, so profound in faith, that it redefined a nation's moral compass. But the author doesn't stop at famous figures. They also speak to the ordinary person, the mother raising a child, the student with silent dreams, the worker feeling stuck in a routine. Imagination, we are told, is available to all. It is not reserved for the few, it is a divine inheritance. The moment you dare to close your eyes and picture something better, something brighter, you are already engaged in the sacred act of creation. Imagination is the architect of change, and each one of us is a builder. Throughout the book, we are guided to understand that imagination is not just visual. It is emotional, it is spiritual. When we imagine a better life, we must feel it, feel the joy, the gratitude, the peace, as if it were already true. The mind, the author explains, cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. And so, by engaging fully in this emotional visualization, we begin to retrain our inner world to expect abundance, to move toward healing, and to welcome transformation. The author shares a story of a man who had been stuck in a dead-end job for years. Every day felt like a repetition of the last, gray, uninspired, and draining. But one day, after reading about the power of imagination, he began a small ritual. Before sleep, he would close his eyes and imagine himself in his dream job, feeling energized, respected, and purposeful. He imagined the smell of fresh coffee in his own office, the sound of fulfilling conversations, the satisfaction of meaningful work. At first, it felt silly, unreal, but night after night, his inner world began to shift. He started waking up with more motivation. He saw opportunities he hadn't noticed before, and within a year, he had landed a new role, not by chance, but by choice. His mind had changed before his life did. That is the power the author calls us to awaken. The book also speaks of the enemies of imagination, fear, doubt, and societal conditioning. These voices tell us that what we desire is too big, too impractical, too unrealistic. But the author urges us to see these not as truths, but as echoes of past programming. They are old recordings, playing in loops, meant to keep us safe but also small. Imagination, on the other hand, is the language of the soul. It reaches beyond limitation. It tells us, you are more than your past, more than your circumstances, more than what others say you are. It lifts us from survival into purpose. There is a beautiful reflection in the book about the role of pain in imagination. Often, the author says, it is our suffering that gives rise to our most powerful visions. When we are hurt, we long for healing. When we are lost, we yearn for meaning. And these longings, when nurtured in the fertile soil of imagination, can birth lives of great beauty and strength. Like the lotus that rises from the mud, our dreams often rise from our deepest struggles. Imagination, then, is not about avoiding pain, but about transmuting it, turning wounds into wisdom, and sorrow into service. One of the most moving insights is that imagination is a sacred responsibility. What we imagine not only affects us but shapes the collective consciousness. If we imagine fear, we add to fear. If we imagine love, we amplify love. Our inner world ripples out into our families, our communities, and our culture. When we choose to imagine a better world, one with more kindness, justice, and beauty, we are doing more than dreaming. We are sowing seeds for future generations. The author encourages practical steps, too. Imagination must be paired with action. Dreaming without doing becomes delusion. But when our visions are followed by even the smallest steps, miracles begin. Write down your vision, speak it aloud, create a vision board, spend time in stillness each day connecting to it. Let your imagination not be a once-in-a-while escape, but a daily ritual, a sacred practice of designing your destiny. A particularly touching story in the book involves a young girl who dreamed of becoming a dancer. She was born in a small town, in a family that barely made ends meet. She had no formal training, no money for classes. But every night, she would imagine herself on a grand stage, feeling the spotlight on her skin, hearing the applause, dancing with joy. She practiced in her bedroom, studied videos from the library, and believed fiercely in her dream. Years later, she auditioned for a prestigious academy. She didn't just get in, she became one of their star performers. The world saw her talent, but she knew it began years earlier, in her imagination. That little girl reminds us all that vision can transcend circumstance, and belief can rewrite destiny. As the book draws to a close, the message becomes clear: we are not victims of fate, but visionaries in training. The world within us is infinitely more powerful than the world around us. When we dare to dream, when we nurture those dreams with love and intention, when we take steps, however small, toward those dreams, we become creators of a new reality. Life begins not with what we see, but with what we believe is possible. Imagination is not just a book. It is an awakening. It calls us to remember who we really are, not mere participants in life, but painters of it. With every thought, every feeling, every image we hold in our hearts, we are adding brushstrokes to the canvas of our destiny. So, let us imagine boldly, love deeply, and create fearlessly. For within us lies the power to shape not just our future, but the future of the world.